All right, hey everyone, Jeff here at StopThePirates.blogspot.com. It's Friday, 8/21/2020, and I'm going to get into some acceptance for value, conditional acceptance, and things of that nature. But I just go through all of my files, and I'm just like amazed at, because there's so much information there, I don't go through it all. And every time I go through, I just kind of delve into little areas, because it's a massive, massive amount of information at StopPirates.blogspot.com. And I go, wow, people need this information now. They really do. But first, lockdown number 2 is coming. They're already telegraphing this. Here's an article on CNBC today. U.S. will have a third act. I don't know what they mean by third act of coronavirus, and it will likely be more pervasive. Dr. Scott Gottlieb says the U.S. has not yet seen a second wave of the coronavirus, but it could come in the fall and winter. Former FDA Commissioner Dr. Scott Gottlieb said, I do think that we're going to have a third act of this virus in the fall and the winter, and it's likely to be more pervasively spread in a broader part of the country. Cases are already beginning to build in the West and Midwest. And this is not the only article I've seen on this. I mean, if you watch the local news, they're already talking about it. And I think it's going to be, if you look at what's going on in Australia right now, I mean, it's a full hard lockdown for 6 weeks. They say 6 weeks, but it's permanent. It's probably for the next 5 years. And there's like 4 people have died, so they're freaking out. It has nothing to do with this virus. And I think it has everything to do with 5G, and it's the end of an era. It's just like when I was growing up in Southern California, where in the 60s and 70s, I would see areas in the suburbs that people had land and they had farms, and they had a couple of acres where they had orange groves, and systematically you saw that go away, and them building these communities, these neighborhoods, the little houses that are right next to each other, all in little, with the store up here and the post office here. It's the end of an era for us. And I think people that are hoping, and I think it's pretty much pervasive with people that wear the mask. I think, if we could just get through this, just wear your mask so this can all be over. We can just get rid of it. But nobody's dying. There's just more cases. But that's not what's happening here. This is the new normal. I try to telegraph this to people, and they don't get it. I go, you're never going back to never. It's over. Your job is finished. I mean, the future doesn't need you. You're an anachronism. They don't need this many workers. And the only reason that so many people on the planet, in the United States or wherever, was to have workers, factory workers. I mean, that's how it went. And now with robotics and AI and computers, the future doesn't need this many debt slaves. So yeah, I try to tell people that, just put your mask on so we can get through this and it'll be over soon. No, it's you don't get it. This is the new normal. The mask is never coming off. The fact that you acquiesce so quickly because you were afraid. I ran into a guy the other day at this biker bar that for some reason opens, because they have a big outdoor area that they can open. And they only say open till like 6 in the evening, and no more live music or anything. But you can go there and sit. And, wow, look at all the motorcycles. But this guy, he said, I've been locked up. My wife kept me in the house for 6 months. This is the first time I've been out. A couple of weeks ago, I'm like, what? Yeah, people buy it, man. They're completely hypnotized by these people. My glasses are broken. Yeah, so you might as well just take the mask off. I've been bullhorning people. I put an ad on Craig. I got to do something. I have these. You can go to Vistaprint. I just printed these things up, these little cards for 10 bucks, 10, 15 bucks. And on the back, I have a QR code. You go to my my YouTube channel. I think I was leaving them down at the beach, and you put them in the parking meters. You slide your credit card in there. I would stick these in there, all of them. And I think the cops found out. They were calling my house. I didn't answer the phone. It's like, fuck you, man. They'll probably want to bust me for destruction of property, or government property or something. I didn't do shit. But anyway, I put it out on Craigslist to the Walmart by my house. There's serious mask Nazis down there. They won't let you in without a mask. So what I'm going to do is to make $10 for 10 or 15 minutes of work. I want 20 people to meet up at the Walmart and go in without masks. Just go in there and start walking around. And people will see it, like 20 people walking around without masks. They're going to go, why am I wearing a fucking mask? You know? So that's an idea if anybody wants to help out, just to try and wake people up, because I think people are under the illusion that, you know, if we just get through this, we can go back to normal. But then this is the new normalcy. There's no going back. The restaurants this winter, everybody's building tents outside their restaurants so people can go out and eat. That's over. It's over. I mean, you know, the Titanic is sinking. The food lines, the food distribution lines are all going to dry up. Here in California, they have what they call strike teams. They go out to farms. I just read an article on that. And, you know, if one person tests positive, and let's face it, everybody's positive, they shut the whole farm down. They just shut it down. It's amazing. Well, you know, where's the logic to that? And there is no logic. I mean, millions of people are going to starve to death because one guy might get sick and die. Unbelievable, man. Unfucking believable. Anyway, all of this information I have at stopthepirates.blogspot.com. I mean, just on accepted for value. Here's all the files I have. A for B, all examples. I'll open this up. Accept it for value, return it for value. All the IRS forms you need, examples of how it's been done successfully. Appointing the CFO as trustee. IRS levy, how to, A for B explanation, sample, affidavit follow-up. You need to follow up and you need a good cover letter, right? I've got them both. Fiduciary appointment, FSB, federal routing numbers, stamp technology, voucher sample, DC, voucher sample, Kentucky, voucher sample, Ogden. I mean, it's just, what else? IRS 1040V, you want to fill those out and send them in with them. Notice to set off, certificate of non-response, notice to tender, certificate of non-response. See, the IRS, how the IRS works is it's basically fraud, but it's because you acquiesce, and you have to, if you want to be like a legitimate person. You have to pay your taxes to get a loan, you know, to play the game. And but what they do is they just send out notices and letters to you. And because of your non-response or non-payment, and you don't, do a conditional acceptance or, talk to these people, they foreclose on you. Just by way of an administrative process. Commercial liens. I mean, I've got the most information on a commercial lien you could ever do. You can file a commercial lien on anybody for anything. An affidavit of truth, it stands as the law. An unrebutted affidavit of truth is the law. Most people don't know that. You want to know how to fill out an affidavit of truth? I've got an example here. Proof of mailing, certificate of non-response. This is what the IRS does. This is how they collect. This is how they give you notices of liens. This is how they attach your wages. You have the ability to do it yourself. People just don't know. Anybody can use this technology. In fact, you have more power than them. Because the IRS, you'll notice when they send you letters, nobody signs it. You know, it's just some fictitious person or something. Nobody's taking commercial liability and responsibility. Nobody's signing under penalty of perjury that their information is true and correct. And you need to confront them on that. Yeah, affidavit of truth, proof of mailing, certificate of non-response, affidavit of obligation, proof of mailing for that, certificate of non-response, notice of fault, proof of mailing, certificate of non-response, notice of default. I mean, just like you got to give them 10 days or 30 days up front to respond, then you give them a second letter, 10 days to respond to that. When they don't respond to that, then you send them a notice of default. You take them to small claims court, show them your process, and it works every time. Public law notes, what is a true bill in commerce, international commerce, sample commercial lien, sample commercial lien 2, alternative affidavit, alternative proof of mailing. Everything you want to know about how to do a commercial lien, it's not that difficult to do. I have examples. I mean, people were heading into a time when if you have a mortgage and you're going to lose your job and bills and things, you need to get this information. You just do. I mean, you need to get an attack. I don't just lay down, just fall on the ground with your legs in the air. Start peeing all over yourself when you get a letter in the mail from the fucking IRS. What else do I have here? Secret files. I can't believe I only get 65 bucks for this shit. But, you know, I'm trying to make it available to everyone. The whole files on civil court, criminal court, IRS, Universal Postal Union power, various articles. Casper exemption. What else am I going to see? The UCC 1-201 generally says that a person gives value. He gives value to get rights. If one person is giving value, another person is asked to give rights in exchange. Both giving value and giving rights meet the element of consideration. The question has to be, what constitutes value? In today's commercial system, where ownership is not of the prime focus, interest or rights in things takes the place of ownership as a goal. We never actually own anything, but we have an interest in these things, like your house or your car or whatever. The security interest. Security interest constitutes a right to seize control of a pledged thing if the one giving the security interest fails to perform as agreed. The one giving the security interest retains possession of the thing that secures the right of another party to seize possession of the thing that backs the security interest that was given. The one receiving security interest becomes a secured party, especially if the instrument establishing the secured interest is registered. He has rights, which are remedies and defenses that he can use to enforce the agreement if the other party fails to perform as agreed. This is the one thing we have. I mean, fuck all your constitutional rights and all that bullshit, because it's all bullshit. You don't have any rights. You have the Uniform Commercial Code, because you are a business. You are a ship in commerce. The world is a business, and that's how you have to look at it. Nobody's, all this kumbaya, let's help everybody out and let's wear a mask of grandma. Fuck all that. This is your remedy right here, and people need to understand it. A remedy is a commercial right for those who acquire that right through an instrument. In corporate United States, there must be a written record of everything. Nothing is supposed to be assumed or presumed. But that does not mean assumptions and presumptions are not used every day to acquire rights to enforce them. If the right that is being enforced is a security interest in a tangible or intangible thing, it usually comes from an instrument that is actually supported by the thing. This is usually, but not always, a pledge promise to relinquish the possession of a thing if there is a breach of an agreement. Because enforcement of a contract based on an implied promise is weak, an instrument demanding performance on it is an offer to initiate a new contract based on an old antecedent and may be implied or unenforceable implied or unenforceable contact. If an instrument is based on an intentional written promise to perform and an intentional pledge to relinquish property, it does not have to be issued for value. It is just issued, and the original contract with the offeror's right to the pledged property is the consideration that supports the demand. The issuer is shooting the instrument at the target, hoping the target will just take the shot and agree to become liable on the new offer. Offers, presentments, bills, things the IRS sends you, companies send you. They're just hoping you just forget about it and throw it in the trash. Can't do that anymore. They're shooting at you, and they're hoping that you'll just take the shot and lay down, so they can enforce their instrument. The issuer is bluffing. If the transferee recognizes the demand instrument as a bluff, he can call the issuer on the bluff and require the issuer to pay. The transferee actually gains a security interest in the instrument if he recognizes it. UCC 3-303, acceptance. If you properly endorse an instrument issued and transferred for value, you acquire the right to enforce the instrument against the issuer. You become the creditor by returning it to the issuer, who becomes the debtor. By accepting the instrument and offer for value, you are altering the terms of the offer and it becomes a counteroffer. Black's Law Dictionary, 7th edition, acceptance. If an acceptance modifies the terms or adds new ones, it generally operates as a counteroffer. Black's Law Dictionary, 7th edition. The right to be the creditor is what you get when you A for V an instrument that is issued and transferred for value, like a tax bill, penal action, indictment, or speeding ticket. These issues are all based on violations of statutes. Dishonor has value in the public. Violation of statutes has value in the public. The violation of the statute is the presumed basis consideration for the issuing the instrument. But if you have not promised to perform under those statutes, you are not obligated, and the issuer has no way of supporting his demand from the instrument. The only thing that has to be determined in most situations is who is the debtor and who is the creditor. Commercial due process is not much more than time and opportunity to complete an administrative remedy and produce a counterclaim. You can choose to use a sovereign's statutes or commercial remedies, but they should not be used simultaneously. Even though you might choose to use commercial remedies, you still need to use the person you represent in the public to access the commercial remedies. You use the cite UCC dash blah, 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 USC subsection, whatever. You have reverted back to being a U.S. citizen, taking a benefit from the statutes. If you demonstrate the principle in the code section without citing it, you maintain your separation. The person you represent in the public acquires the commercial rights, but you interject your rights through the natural order of things and maintain your unalienable rights. You get to use the person instead of it using you. Anyway, this is a fantastic book. It's 60 pages. It's definitely required reading if you want to, operate your straw man in this commercial world we're living in, especially now when things are getting pretty hairy out there. What else? What else? What else? What else? Oh. I went and saw in I think it was 2008 or 9. Winston Shrout came to LA and I went to his 3-day seminar at the, I think it was Airport Marriott or Hilton. It cost me it cost like $1,000. And the amount of information I got from there and all the different speakers, it still rings true today. And I have it all included at stopthepirates.blog. All his affidavit of obligations, commercial liens, his whole UCC, secured party creditor, UCC1 financing statement, his whole process. I have it all, everything. So if you want to know how to become a secured party creditor, follow your UCC1 financing statement, your liens, and your affidavits and everything. I got it all. He successfully did a commercial lien on a cop, or the city. This cop pulled him over, and he filed a commercial lien against this small city in, I think, southern Utah, and he collected on it. He got the judgment. Amazing. I have all that, his whole process, and it's pretty amazing. He writes there, allegations arise from conduct of John Smith acting as marshal for City of Ivins on 8/3/2000. The allegations that follow are recorded in Affidavit of Truth. A lone occupant, hereafter known as John Smith, himself, of an unmarked white vehicle, who did not identify himself as a police officer or any other thing, such as a corporate officer, etc., ordered Winston Shrout, hereafter I, me, my, or myself, to get in my vehicle. He got out of the white vehicle and demanded to see papers that he thought I might have in my possession, such as a driver's license, vehicle registration, and etc. And since my driver's license is also my picture ID, I asked the man, John Smith, who had gotten out of his white vehicle, for his picture ID, such as a driver's license, and etc. He did not at that time, nor in fact at any time, identify by what authority he demanded to see the papers. He supposed that I might have in my possession, such as him being a police officer, etc. He became enraged when I asked him for what I hoped would be his picture ID, and he refused to show me a picture ID, or in fact any ID. He threatened to put me in jail. I asked him if I was under arrest. He said no. I asked him if I was not under arrest, why would he put me in jail? This only enraged him further, and he accused me of being a smartass and other such objectionable labels. He appeared to be carrying a firearm that I presumed was loaded, both of which he confirmed later. And since he was becoming very angry, I supplied him with the papers he demanded under fear of threatened arrest and/or personal injury. He periodically accused me of breaking some laws. I told him if I had broken any laws, that he had recourse he went back to his white vehicle and shortly returned to my vehicle where I was seated and asked him for his name, which I wrote down on paper. And I had him spell his second name, as I was unsure of the spelling. The name he gave me was John Smith. He showed me a coupon book and appeared to be full of some sort of vouchers, without explaining the conditions of the contract and without making any attempt at a full disclosure. He wanted me to put my signature on a presentment. I asked him if was mandatory or voluntary that I sign the presentment. He said it was voluntary. I informed him that I would not sign the presentment. At that time, John Smith wrote something on the presentment and then handed me a green copy that he had torn out of the coupon book. On the upper portion of the presentment was the name Winston Shrout. Winston Shrout, blah, 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 was born proprietary right to the trademark Winston Shrout. It appeared to me that John Smith had written some words on the presentment on the signature line. The words that he wrote on the signature line were refused to sign, followed by the words served 8/3/2000. John Smith assured me that I must pay money to the court for the charges on the green paper that he signed, that I could be held liable for a contract that I am not party to. Confused me. It appeared that John Smith was under the false presumption that since he refused to sign on the contract, that Winston Shrout became a liable party. That is fraud. Anyway, I mean, it just goes on and on and on and on. All the violations that this cop violated his rights. Got a whole list of them. Surety, he's charging $10,000 per violation for a grand total of $3,480,000. $3,480,000 in functional currency of the United States, and he got it. Okay, so it works. Anyway, about 30 minutes. Go to stopthepirates.blogspot.com. Have a good day.